All right, in this video, I'm going to tell you what's going on with the Tuscaloosa real estate market in the spring of 2026. Let's go ahead and dive on in. Hey guys, I'm Phil Duke Jr. here with Living in Tuscaloosa County. Appreciate you checking out the video. I make content here pretty regularly. Would love it if you would like and subscribe to the channel and to this video. They tell me that helps somehow, some way. I've got just a few notes here. If you go back and look at my early videos on this channel, you'll see, a lot of B-roll, right? We did like a 3-second clip of, an intersection or traffic or the University of Alabama. And at that time I had a full-time video editor, and YouTube has just kind of gone away from that a little bit. It's been more about just being real. And so I'm literally just sitting in the office with a few notes and out in front of me. Nothing fancy, no fancy camera tricks. If that's what you're looking for, I'm sorry, but I think I got some good information here for you. So, what's going on in the Tuscaloosa real estate market today? Well, as of this morning, when I pulled this, I check this on an almost daily basis, but for sure on Mondays. On Mondays, I normally, drop off the kids at school, go to the gym, and then I'm normally in the office. And we do a great deal of direct mail marketing. It's one of the ways that we let people know what we're doing and who we are. And so I pull some numbers every week, because that kind of determines like who we target and which way we go. So maybe this will help you. But every week when I get on there for a while now, there's been more listings on the market, this week than there was the previous week. And so this morning, 990 listings on the market. You might be thinking like, is that a lot? Well, I'll tell you, at the height of, what people would say the height of the market, right back in the COVID and post-COVID days, when houses were hitting the market and they were selling, sight unseen, multiple offers, a lot of competition, prices consistently going up, to hit record amounts where they never had before. At that point, we had, at the low point, around 600 listings on the market. So right now we're almost at 1,000. It's like a 40% increase. Right. And what that's telling me is it's good for somebody, right? And that's one thing I want you to realize is it's never a bad market. It's always good for somebody. It's good for buyers, it's good for sellers, it's good for renters, or it's good for investors. And sometimes it's good for two or three of those people for a couple different reasons. So let me just kind of go through this. Okay, one thing we've got to realize is it's always a good market for somebody. So we're going to break it down into 4 different categories: buyers, sellers, investors, and renters. Who is it good for, and what is each of those groups kind of experiencing right now? And if you're watching this channel, there's probably a good chance you're thinking about moving to the Tuscaloosa area, or maybe investing. Maybe you've got a child that's going to be going to school here, and you're thinking about buying a property that you could stay in yourself, Airbnb it when you're not in it, or maybe just totally relocating yourself. Down in the description below, you'll find a calendar link. And that's the easiest way to get in touch with me. If you would like to chat about real estate, I do it all day, every day. I'm a full-time realtor. This is not a side hustle for me. I've been full-time for a long time and would love to, answer any questions you have. And maybe Tuscaloosa is a good fit for you. Maybe it's not, but would love for you to decide that before you're spending time and money looking into it or buying a property. Would love to help you. I'd love to be your realtor if it ends up going to that. So let's talk about these. Let's talk about these 4 categories. So number one, buyers. Okay, for the last couple years, it has not been a great market for buyers. Right? You've had, prices are going up. They're having to put in for a couple years. There was having to put in offers in multiple offer situations, and you could put in really good offers, and there was still a good chance that you weren't going to be the one that got picked for a lot of different reasons, right? But right now, as a buyer, you've actually got time to go look at properties for the most part. Every once in a while, a unique property will hit the market. There's a couple like condo complexes. There's a couple of subdivisions in our area where if a good one hits the market in that area, it still might be really quick, full asking price, maybe even have 1 or 2 more people competing for you. But for the vast majority of properties out there, Get on realtor.com and start looking at photos. And one thing I want you to notice on there is how many days on the market that property has been. And you're going to see a ton of them that have been on the market for more than 30 days. All right. So if you are considering, buying a property in Tuscaloosa, you've got some wiggle room in the negotiations, right? Now, not every property owner that's trying to sell is desperate. Not every one of them is hurting financially, but if you're willing to, kind of take some time, put in a few offers here or there, you can probably find somebody that's willing to will and deal a little bit, right? You might not pay full price, or you might pay full price, but maybe they pay all the closing costs and they throw in a fridge, and they do some repairs for you after your home inspection. Okay. So for buyers right now, you've got more power and more leverage than you've had in a couple years. The interest rates are still kind of high, but you're probably not going to pay, full price for the property and also have to pay the closing cost and not ask for any repairs on your home inspection report. Sellers right now are hoping to get an offer. Period. A lot of those properties you look at, again, go to realtor.com, look at properties that have been on the market for 30 days or more. At that point, all right, 30 days on the market, you're not getting a ton of showings normally, right? It's when we list a new house, a new listing, I should say, when we list a listing, right? I've got one going live tomorrow. We'll probably get 2 or 3 showings on it tomorrow. It'll be listed like first thing in the morning. I'll get up early and I'll, click submit, and by 6:30 a.m. it'll be active. There's a good chance, like by the end of the day, we might have 2 or 3 showings scheduled on that first day. You get a couple here and there over the first weekend. It can seem like, wow, we're getting a lot of response. But what's happening right now is not a ton of offers are coming in from those showings. So after 2 or 3 weeks on the market, sellers are like, well, man, like our showings have stopped. You know, we hadn't got an offer yet, or we got an offer and we negotiated too hard with the first people, and the next people that come around, we're not going to negotiate so hard. So as a buyer right now, things are definitely in your favor right now. 1, 2, 3 for sellers. Okay. I painted this picture of like it's a buyer's market right now, and you're gonna have showings but not offers. I would say for sellers right now, it's still a good market. And here's why it's a good market still for sellers. If you owned your property more than 2 or 3 years, right? Let's say you bought a house 7 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago in this area, and you've been hanging on to it for that amount of time. The reality is the last couple years happened and you saw a great increase in what your property is worth over the last 2 or 3 years. Now, at some point, could it go down a little bit? I would say it's likely it could go down a little bit, right? All it takes is, one desperate homeowner in a subdivision, taking a low offer, and now all of a sudden that's the most recent comparable sold property in the neighborhood, and that will affect you. But let me give it to you this way. If you saw a $150,000 increase over the last 5 years, like your property went from being $200,000 to $350,000, and now it goes back down to $325,000, you're still up a lot compared to what normal inflation would have been, right? We had a couple years there of just crazy inflation, bidding wars, properties going for more than they've ever gone for before. And that happened. That didn't go away. So you're still in a pretty good position when it comes to that. So you're still gonna benefit from those couple years, but it's not gonna be the crazy bidding war. You're gonna have to probably negotiate a little bit when an offer does come in. The folks that I'm working with right now, we're putting together like 90-day marketing plans, and our goal in the 90-day period is to get one offer. And if we get one offer, we got to work our tails off to try to make that one offer work. And sometimes we can, sometimes we can't, right? But if you are a homeowner who's looking at the market and like, is it a good market to sell right now? Yes, it is. And if inventory keeps going up, it would be better to sell on the front end of it right now, right? It's kind of, it was going up, 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 up. It might go down, down, down a little bit. All right, it'd be better to sell on the front end than wait till everything, bottomed out, right? A lot of people have been waiting for the market to bottom out before they sell their house and buy another. Well, the problem with that is if you're buying in a down market, that means you're also going to be selling in a down market right now. So right now it's still pretty fair, right? It's still a pretty fair market. I would say buyers have more power and more leverage, but it's still overall it's a fair market for buyers and sellers. You're still going to benefit from what happened the last couple years. You've still got a lot more value in your property than what you normally would have. And if you have to sell it for a little bit less than what the height of the market was, 2 years ago, you're still in a pretty good financial position compared to where, a normal 5 year or 10-year period would have been. So I still think it's a pretty good market for sellers in the Tuscaloosa area. Investors, is it a good market right now for investors? Well, I would say this: it's tough, right? I'm an investor. We have a monthly investor club meeting here at the office once a month, where we get together and network and talk about what's going on. And I will tell you right now, with the market shifting, it's kind of difficult to know what to buy a property for right now, right? There's a lot of flippers who flipped properties. They bought them 6 months ago or 9 months ago, and they did the renovations. They were banking on them selling for such and such price. They had some tight margins in there, and now they're not selling for what they thought they would. And those properties are either sitting on the market, or they're having to kind of just sell them for minimal profits, or maybe even breaking even, or maybe even losing a little bit of money. Okay, so if you don't know where the market's going to be at in 6 months, it's hard as an investor to know whether you're buying a good deal. What looks like a good deal today, you might be looking back at it 6 months from now and saying, wow, like I didn't know the market was going to get that much worse. But I will tell you this: with the way the economy is right now, I'm seeing a lot more people in distressed situations when it comes to needing to sell their home, right? Very common right now that when I meet with homeowners who are thinking about selling, or maybe they've gone to phildukejr.com, requested a cash offer on their property. When I go and have those meetings, it's very common right now that people are 3 months, 6 months, even had one that was a year behind on their mortgage payments, had not made a mortgage payment in a year. So there are a lot of people right now in tough financial situations, right? And so as an investor, there is opportunity there to come in, and depending on what your strategy is, what your buy box is as an investor, there's probably going to be more opportunities out there than what there has been the last couple of years. The hard thing once again is, how do you know what's a good deal or not, right? With a shifting market, it can be kind of difficult. There's some risk. There's always risk involved in any market. But with the market trending the way it is right now, it might get worse before it gets better. So you got to really make sure your numbers are very conservative and are very safe, and that you're taking on properties that can weather the storm in just about any market. And love to help you with that and tell you what I'm doing as an investor. I won't do it in this video, but my investing strategy has changed a lot in the last 6 months because of the way the market's going. And you can still win. I can still win. We just got to adjust our tactics a little bit. And lastly, renters. Is it a good market for a renter right now? Well, I would say right now, in the Tuscaloosa area, rent prices are up, but there are starting to be more vacant rental houses and apartments just sitting there on the market. So I think there will be some fluctuation to that. There's probably some negotiations there. I've seen some beautiful properties that normally would have been rented like right away that are just sitting there, right? They're trying to get a certain amount, monthly on the property, and ultimately, who decides what any property's worth? It's the people who are looking to buy it, right? So the renters are gonna find, like, if their budget is $2,000 a month, 1,500 a month, whatever their budget is, they're gonna go out and look at properties in those price ranges, and they're gonna rent the best one, right? So if you're looking at it from that angle, as a renter, you do have some options right now. There are starting to be more vacant properties, and so I do think there will be some wiggle room. Now, they're not going to advertise it, right? You're probably not going to see, like, first month free or anything like that. But if you go to a showing, a bunch of these big time apartment complexes in the area, if you go to one of those showings, and you have a legit conversation with them and you're very interested and you're not just trying to lowball them, I would imagine you could probably get it for what you think is a fair price, right? Because every month it sits there for them, it's not being rented, it's not bringing in anything, it's costing them money. So I would say, as a renter, you have a little bit of wiggle room right now. It's not a tremendous, it's not a budget friendly market right now. Rents are still high compared to what they have been, but you do have more options right now than what you've had over the last couple years. So that's where we're at. The spring of 2026, the spring market's starting to heat up, and we got great weather going on today in the Tuscaloosa area. Starting to get warmer. We got a lot of pollen out. There's starting to be a lot of outdoor stuff going on. It's not getting dark till 7:30, 7:45 at night. It's a great time to be in the Tuscaloosa area. If I can help you in any way, click the link below, hop on my calendar. Let's have a phone call or video chat. Thanks for watching this video.